sometimes you go to like a band, like I'm going to go to a concert in a week or two, and like the friends and I that are going, we're going to go, ugh, sometimes, like when the band does a cool thing, and we're going to say that's disgusting, and we mean that is the best thing I've heard in my life.
Yep.
Or
So
it's like dude, I just killed this giant spider with my shoe. What's your first instinct? Can I see it? Like, I kind of want to see, like, how big was this spider?
One of these years, and here's what I love about it. One of these years, first off, I believe the list is also flexible enough to handle maybe not a 7-way tie, but there can be a multiple-way tie still. With
for sure.
So like one of these years, it's going to be a 3 or 4-way tie at the very least.
And for the actual, like, not just the Big Ten West.
Right, exactly. And so there's gonna be disgusting college football.
Yes.
At some point. So we're just hoping against hope that this stupid schedule works its way out.
I will miss the Big Ten West. I will miss it.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, if you actually want like the best teams and stuff, it's not the best, but from a sheer entertainment standpoint, I will miss it. Like the ACC Coastal, rip.
Yeah.
Rip ACC Coastal. I miss you.
RIP in peace.
Well,
also, I don't mean to be eating during my podcast. I'm going to try not to.
Aaron, they're both so bad. I don't know who wins this wagon wheel game. I'll have to just pick it spoiler of the moment. They're both awful.
Actually,
they're my worst ranked teams.
Yes.
My worst ranked because Nevada won last week.
I'm going with this one. Okay, hold on. I know who I'm going with.
Are we going to talk anything except Michigan?
We'll see.
I'm going to try and talk about the Rangers. I mean, if we end up not, then I'll switch the animal theory to next week and talk about the Rangers in my because that's been what I've been only doing. I've only been inviting my Astros roommate to suck it every day. Like, hey, just would love, did you get my invitation to suck it?
By the way, hello, YouTube. It's been a while.
Hey, YouTube.
Good
to see you all.
YouTube, I don't want you to suck it.
We're all in a great mood, YouTube.
Yeah,
great mood tonight.
Great. Everyone's alive for the first time in like a year.
I know. I can't wait. All right, I'll get a story.
Which is the perfect episode for that too.
It is. Hold on. Let me launch Audacity.
Yeah,
that would help.
Let me turn that
I'm
on.
testing mine and I'm ready to go. My Audacity is good. So we are ready.
Yeah, do just a really long intro as I get everything set up.
All right, I will. Welcome to the Fifth and Goal podcast. My name is Aaron. Guys, good news. Johnny is here. Josh is here. We're all alive for the first time in forever. So we're excited about that. We're also excited because contrary to Johnny and I's belief, Ohio State did not lose on Saturday. And in addition, the Houston Astros lost in the ALCS.
Yes.
Had 2 chances to clinch.
I am clipping. Yes, they did. Sorry, that is going to be really loud.
Yep.
Alive Josh is really happy, is really alive.
Good.
I want to let everyone know I have invited every Astros fan I've met to suck it.
As you should, Josh. As is your constitutional right.
As is my constitutional right and duty. If I could not participate in the tour of shame, like again, I was denied. This is the next best thing.
Mm-hmm.
Win or lose the World Series, it's okay. We got the pennant. That's great. And we can personally invite every Astros fan to suck it. I've been doing nothing but banging on trash cans.
Yeah.
I've been doing nothing but looking at that, just that beautifully clutch 9th inning Altuve home run. Like definition of clutch right there. So
that was the
good.
Old Chris Paul hits a like what's the YouTube caption? I can't remember what it's called, but it's like Chris Paul hits a huge 3-pointer to cut the Suns deficit to 42. That's what that was. And well done, internet, for reminding us that. If that wasn't good enough, if we aren't already in a good enough mood with all of those things going on, Johnny, our rivals from the north are really going through it. And we talked about it last week. We weren't sure if anything was going to come of it. And this has been everything. This has been the entire news cycle this week.
On my way to get my lamb korma. By the way, get lamb korma. Just eat it. It's so good.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I've never had it before and it's so good. Please go get it. But on my way to get lamb korma, I was listening to y'all last week,
Aw.
and I loved the restraint and the maturity with which you tried to handle the allegations.
We'll have none of that tonight,
every
Josh.
Single
there will
day,
be zero mature moments tonight.
Single day since that podcast dropped, it has been like basically like more and more receipts have come out, and it's been like the university itself has dared you guys to try and stick with your calm, cool, and collected manner. You guys were like,
I can't tonight.
Because Aaron, I believe you said last week, like, I don't know if anything's going to come from this, or
Sure
if it will.
did.
Johnny, you said it's going to come in 5 years. Turns out it has been. You're right.
Now.
It does. Turns out the
days.
NCAA does take a few months to do things, and has taken a few months to do things, and is currently there. It's so beautiful.
Aaron, would you like the update on not even the sign stealing from Adam Rittenberg as of 2 hours ago?
Yeah.
Did you see this?
Probably, because I've basically just been refreshing Twitter every 2 seconds, but go for it.
And that's what I'm doing right now, just in case something else drops. Because, Josh, you're right. It's been every single day something else has come out. Let me preface before we really deep dive into this conversation. We are all Buckeye fans. We're all from Columbus. I won't speak for Aaron and Josh, but I am taking probably far too much joy in these moments right now. It is my ideal crime because
Josh is winding that clock. I mean, wow. For those
it is
audio
my
only.
ideal scandal because like no one like got physically harmed or like, like there's nothing that's just like horrendous ethically about it. Like ultimately, is it just about the game? So it's like I don't even have to feel super bad about this occurring to our arch rival right now. But from Adam Rittenberg, if you haven't been following this closely, there's several different avenues of, I guess you could say there's kind of almost 3 scandals in one here. So from Adam Rittenberg, works for ESPN, very respected reporter. University of Michigan police confirmed to ESPN that the FBI has joined its investigation of former football assistant Matt Weiss. He was the co-offensive coordinator for computer access crimes. Investigation is extensive, ongoing, and is of the utmost priority per deputy chief. Guys, that's not hearsay. That's not random dude on the internet. This is the FBI and the University of Michigan police talking about this. They think that some people think that this is connected to the sign stealing in some ways as well, just for how Michigan accessed computer databases. That's on the table right now as well. Not even just the going to the games and stealing the signs, but even just literally hacking into opponents' computers and stuff. Hopefully, I will just say this. Hopefully it wasn't beyond that with whatever is going on with the computer access stuff. From everything I just said previously, I hope it's just related to that. But like people really before today, I don't think remembered that issue that came up because it just kind of was swept under the rug. And that's now back front and center. It is a wild time. I really don't know how the, Michigan faithful are taking this in reality, because Twitter's not reality.
Twitter is reality, and here's how they're taking it. Every single Michigan fan I've ever met. The idea, and this is actually interesting because this is what I saw, and this was earlier in the week. Like I want to say like post-game stuff on Saturday and Sunday, because I saw the CJ Stroud interview as well.
Very mature.
Yep.
He took the high road. But you could tell he was a little frustrated, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is he said in his interview, he's like, we suspected something at the time. And again, before I get into that, I'll start that tangent with another tangent to contextualize all the tangents. I've been alive for like 2 days and I'm ready to get back at it. Deion Sanders and not Hugh Freeze. Who's the new guy at Nebraska?
Matt Rule.
I've totally blanked. Thank you, Matt Rule. Both of them were interviewed, I think, during their post-game stuff on Saturday, because this is early scandal. We didn't know what was going on. And they said basically the same thing you guys were saying last week, that, hey, everyone's trying to, at that point, they just thought it may have been maybe a slightly unfair advantage, but not a scandal. And so both of them were very measured in their response. And it was generally, hey, you still got to execute the plays. Hey, you still have to do something about what you think is coming. This is no different from, you guys said last week, from Ohio State's defensive staff looking at the correlation between what Michigan's calling on the sidelines and then what they're actually accomplishing and trying to put the pieces together. That's just part of the nature of competition. There's nothing, and I would say there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of the game in the moment. Yep. Turns out that's not what happened. Yep. And what's not just play through. Just actually still got to beat them, because that's what I heard Michigan fans, some Michigan fans, the Terminally Online ones, with
the stupidest argument.
Because if you have a database of the 30 teams you either have played or could potentially play, all the signs they're doing, and again, still to the best of your ability, what you think those signs are going to mean, that's no longer just a little competitive advantage. This isn't even something like doping necessarily. This is, we're playing chess, but I know what you're about to do and know every move you could possibly make. Mm-hmm. But we're both still on the surface, at the same level. It's very hard. Again, I've not played chess in a long time. Aaron taught me. And I'm sure The Queen's Gambit is a very good show. I've seen clips of it on TikTok. But like that type of advantage is no longer in the realm of, they're just a little bit, they just, they figured it out before you do. No, this is like, they have your game and you can't. I mean, now I'm going back and looking at every single, I was looking at some of the Penn State trick plays. And again, some of those could be audibles in the moment, and it just may be a lucky break. But there were some Penn State trick plays at the goal line for 2-point conversions or sneaks that there was a Michigan defender immediately there, tracing him. And again, that could just be, and this is what's hard. I was listening to, what was it, McAfee before going on here. Super normal, sane guy with the most sane, normal opinions.
Yeah.
But actually, this one was pretty decent because he can speak from experience here from West Virginia. He's like, one of the things that is really hard now is these students are still good. The players, the athletes are still athletes. They are still executing plays and doing things at a high level. And he's like, it is going to be crushing if we start accusing every single player of only being good because they can read an offense. That's not the case, or we're still figuring things out, but that's also not the only thing going on. They are still an elite. They are still able to execute high quality, high athleticism, high football IQ plays. And that's not, I don't want to take that away from them, even if their coaching staff is whatever we think they might be.
I mean, to that point, if you just took me present day, lined me up at linebacker at Michigan, and if I knew a run play was coming and they're like, hey, we know the running back's coming through this gap, the running back would hit me and my bones would dissolve and I'd fall into the earth's crust.
I would run right in front of him, go, ha, I've caught you, and then I would die.
Yeah. But Aaron, you'd be in the right place.
I would. Right? But I'd be just to be
in the right place.
My bones would just shatter. Glass bones and paper skin on that one. But I'll say this because I can't remember which one of you, but Josh, I think it was you that pointed out some of the things I said last week. Because let me just talk about that, because I said a couple things last week that were pretty quickly proven wrong. Number one, I said, hey, I don't think anything's going to come of this right away. And that was probably the biggest error, because I vastly underestimated the power of the internet. And quite frankly, the power of people online to just go after conspiracy with all of their might.
I think the Venmo transactions got released that night after you guys hit stop on recording.
No, Josh, not released. This man, sorry, Aaron, I don't mean to interject, just one comment. This man used his own name, his own email. He kept all his interactions on Venmo on public.
You can make them private.
He used his personal credit card. My friend, just, sometimes you're almost more upset that they got caught doing it because it was so ridiculously dumb how they got caught. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't get caught if he doesn't do that with Venmo, but it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like you're not even trying hard enough here to hide it. Yeah, go ahead, Aaron. That was wild.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it too. It's not just the internet. I mean, they made it easy for the internet to pick up on these things.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to underestimate the power of some sleuthing online. Like, I mean, gosh, you Swifties, it's scary what you guys conjure up on the internet. And to a certain extent, this is the sports version of it, which is far more fun. The second thing is that I talked very, I'd like to think that I talked very directly about what Jim Harbaugh's role in his communication with everyone would look like, because we read his quote and he said, and in that quote he said, "I knew nothing about it. We've always, blah, 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 said all these things. We'll not be talking about this anymore until this thing's wrapped up." As more and more information comes out, there, in my mind, is no way that Jim Harbaugh did not know about this. There's no way. And if he knew about it, and I think it's 99% certain that he did, he has once again lied to the NCAA. Michigan's in a heap of trouble for all of this, for all of the other stuff going on. Like, there's potential criminal activity, maybe related to this cheating stuff, maybe unrelated. It's a mess. And if you, Jim Harbaugh, who got a self-imposed suspension from the NCAA for not buying a recruited hamburger, that was not the reason.
Aaron, not from the NCAA.
No, that's what.
They still haven't even handed down the punishment for that.
Correct. That's why I said self-imposed by. If I said NCAA, I meant self-imposed by Michigan. Because correct, Johnny. Yeah, he didn't get suspended for giving a recruit a hamburger. I know that's kind of the funny way to take it. He got suspended because he lied to the NCAA about it. Same thing with Jim Tressel to a certain extent. Jim Tressel was basically kicked out the door because, in addition to the things that he did, you can argue whether they were legitimate or not. That argument's, we're a decade plus into this argument. The reality is he got kicked out the door because he lied to the NCAA. Jim Harbaugh is in a situation where he will be a repeat offender of that within like a year time span.
Which
and
means
the Michigan defense right now, for again, not representative of necessarily all fans, but at least those that Josh said are chronically online. It's like, oh, Jim Harbaugh didn't know. Well, then that brings up a whole different set of questions. How could you not know?
Well, then he's inept. Yeah,
then he's inept. He does not have control over his program. It's almost worse. There's no
the
good
NCAA
way
has
this
clear
ends for him.
verbiage for that.
Yes.
They have clear verbiage for that because that's what coaches used to. Oh, well, I didn't know.
Right.
Well, now the NCAA says, well, then you lack institutional control and the penalty's the same. Continue.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
So regardless of how much you think the specific sign stealing actually impacts the play on the field, Josh, you said it probably more than you think. The real sticking point, I think, for all of this is going to be Jim Harbaugh's action or lack of action in all of this. And that's what's going to get him in the most hot water. Now, one more thing I'll add, and then we can kind of open this back up. One other thing I said is the NCAA is chronically slow when it comes to this kind of stuff. Very, very slow. Well, guess what the NCAA was doing today? They were at the University of Michigan. This is reported by Pete Thamel. NCAA enforcement staff have been at the University of Michigan this week to look into the sign stealing probe. Their arrival on campus just a week after the investigation formally launched is an indication of the priority the case has taken. Now, there's three entities that can play a role because maybe the NCAA doesn't do anything. I highly doubt that. It might take them a while. But the Big Ten can enact some sort of punishment on Michigan if they choose, and the college football playoff can enact some sort of penalty if they choose because they are not related to the NCAA. It's their own thing. They run it. It's their own committee. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means as far as punishment. I don't know what that means as far as the timing of the punishment. But basically take what I said last week for the most part and throw it out the window because all of the information we got, like this has become a big deal.
Aaron, have you seen anything like it?
No.
At this speed?
No.
Any kind of scandal to where it's daily something new and not just like a nothing.
The only thing that compares is Johnny Manziel.
But something making it worse every single day.
Yep.
And I mean, this is beyond what I could have ever imagined. Worst case scenario for Michigan fans at this point. There is no way in any scenario Jim Harbaugh is coaching this team next season.
No.
I think the question at this point is, does he even get to finish the season? I think that's the question we're really arguing. There is no way he's going to. I'll say one thing about the actual, play on the field effectiveness. And then I'd actually like to talk even about what we think could be a potential penalty, because there is no standard in place for what this could be. First off, Aaron, you're absolutely right. Josh, you're absolutely right. You still have to be a good team. And based on the assumption that they've only been doing this the last 2 years, Jim Harbaugh in Michigan still had several very, very good Michigan teams. They're not like some trash program that has no good players. Look at some of the guys in the NFL like Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah. These aren't just garbage players. But was this we just reworked the contract. COVID was a terrible year. He's on the hot seat. And out of desperation, turned to this. That is what it feels like to me. When you watch these games, there's a story about TCU today, how they were actually informed beyond what other teams were, and TCU was giving out dummy signals. Well, doesn't that explain Michigan's breakdown in coverage constantly in that game? Not for 5 yards, for 80-yard bombs against TCU. Does that not explain? I feel like there's evidence within the game to where Ohio State's offense is just throttling everyone all year with CJ Stroud and those wide receivers. And then they get to Michigan and it's grinding to get a 3-yard pass play because the Michigan corner's on him immediately. And somehow Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave or Marvin Harrison's just making a spectacular play, but it's not because he's not marked. Does that not explain some of that? And I'm not saying I know for a fact Ohio State would have won those games.
No, not at all.
Unfortunately, we can't say
this now.
Yes,
we'll never know.
And that's where
we lost one of the best quarterbacks.
I'm very frustrated. I'm frustrated because not that these guys are poor, but there's monetary incentives here. Like there's been money at stake that's been played out here. Forget about the average fan that's just like betting on the game or whatever. But so many things. And Ohio State was lucky they got into the playoff last year anyway. But you cost them the year before making the playoff.
This risks even things
there's
like
a lot.
If it's like, hey, we can't beat our chief rival, I might try Michigan if they're pretty much the same conference and maybe a slightly more. This again. This is still alleged, but even though I've hidden the conspiracy clock,
but the evidence
right back out again. It is
this paper trail is nasty, man. It's a nasty paper trail, and that's why we feel this confident. Just like, hey, man, they did it. It's just about how bad will this be at this point?
Yeah,
and so it's bad, and this makes a big deal because. And I saw somebody just like the people who are being dumb and also what coaches say in their press conference is not what they actually believe. Like, can we get past that too? Deion Sanders is saying that because he also doesn't want to be the clip that says, yeah, those are freaking cheaters. You can't be that coach.
Oh,
that's why Matt Rule was very nice about it. It's like, I'm not really going to talk about that. Or coaches try to shift it, let's get audio in the helmets, which we should. We did talk about that last week and we absolutely should. But that's where it's like, they're not going to say that. If if it's a run or pass and it's a play action, that's everything. That's it. That's everything. It's everything, man. And Michigan got caught in 4K. In 4K, that man is standing. Oh, he's just a low-level assistant. He's standing right next to Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, and he's talking to him as Ohio State's giving the plays.
And this is even worse because
nuts.
How many times on this show, I guess I'll get angry now. How many times on this show did we yell at Ryan Day? Because first year of Ryan Day, we were like, this guy is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I remember it was like, sometimes it was a bit of a slow start, but he never got found out. People were like, this guy was almost untouchable. Some imperfections, but then we railed him. My fear now is, did Michigan basically gaslight him into thinking like, there is we all joke about where's Lou Holtz right now? I got it. Hilarious, great soundbite. I love it. Every time there's anything.
I love finding all the old people and Ohio State fans just pretending like, hey, man, Barry Alvarez is saying you're soft this week. You're soft. Like to Ryan Day.
Where's that Nittany Lion? What did that Nittany Lion say? I love it. It's so good. But I'm now furious because genuinely, even if Ryan Day couldn't have play called his way through those two Michigan games and he would have lost both, which again now is highly suspect. Because Ohio State doesn't have a history of back-to-back losses,
right?
At least in their modern era. I don't remember that with Urban. I don't remember, and then even with Ryan Day, Clemson, it was 1-1, lost, and then 100% came back with a vengeance. Now, all of the hot seat talk we were talking about, all of this like uncertainty that may not be as legit anymore, but we won't know. We're never going to know.
We,
and that's
we don't
super
know.
Frustrating. And so I don't know. You might have already been transitioning into this, Johnny, but I'll be explicit about it because, Aaron, you mentioned, and this is true, this is a repeat offense within a calendar year. Is this death penalty? Is this death penalty?
I don't think so because, and the reason I say that, I can't remember what school. I think it was Auburn. It was an SEC school. It might have been 10. I don't know. Whatever. They were found out that they basically straight up paid players, like 18 players before NIL was a thing.
Maybe Ole Miss.
Maybe it was. Fill in the
they
blank.
had that number one recruiting class in Alabama's heyday, and we're all like, excuse me, how do you have the number one recruiting class? That should have been a really red flag immediately. Yeah. Like, that's like freaking Purdue. Like, we have the number one recruiting class in the Big Ten. And you're like, wait a second.
No, it's the IRS looking at someone who just bought like 5 Bentleys all in cash after last year reporting like a $65 $1,000 salary. They're like, wait a second. We're going to open this book up real quick.
Yeah. Whichever school, fill in the blank, probably Ole Miss.
Your favorite.
Straight up paid players, got a slap on the wrist, no bowl ban, no nothing. The reason why, Josh, I don't think we're going to see anything quite that dramatic is because the NCAA doesn't have any power anymore. Like, Michigan's guilty, I think. How guilty they are to be seen, how much like you guys are talking about. I was at that first Michigan-Ohio State game that Michigan won. That was depressing. And the score won't show that it was close, but it was a close game throughout most of that game. I don't know how many points Michigan scored because of their sign stealing, or on the other side, I don't know how many points Ohio State didn't score. There's no way to know. I'm not necessarily going to sit here and tell you Ohio State wins both those games right away because, Johnny, like you said, there's some darn good athletes on that team. Really good. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson's
good team.
One of the best. I mean, I'm wearing literally repping the Lions Monday Night logo here. One of the best defenders in the NFL, straight up, like no question. So I don't know, but what I will say, Johnny, I'm glad you brought up the TCU thing because TCU gave kind of the dummy signals, and I think the obvious question that comes from that is, well, if TCU did this, then why did every other team not do it? And look, I'm not a professional. I'm not a college football coach. I've never been on the sideline with the team, understanding play calls, none of that. I don't have that background. But my assumption is that to a certain extent, yes, that's happening. Because even I played high school basketball. As the season went on, we started switching up our play names because teams would watch film and they could hear us calling out plays. So we'd switch it up.
Yeah, this is totally normal.
But here's the thing with TCU. How long did TCU have to prepare dummy signals against Michigan? 4 weeks.
Yeah. Big difference.
Huge difference.
Big difference. That's why they had to, Aaron, that's why they had to, like, most teams just tried to change the signals. But, like, former players jump in and, like, hey, man, like, but we can't really, you can't just change all your signals. Some plays have, like, 7 signals attached to them.
And that's just a competitive disadvantage by itself. The fact that you as a team are having to spend time in practice going over what the new play names are instead of actually practicing against the schemes you think Michigan's going to run, that by itself is a thing. And again, maybe teams are doing this anyways, but from everything I've heard, coaches were made aware leading up to the Michigan game, hey, this is happening. There had to have been extra preparation. Or just kind of a shrug of the shoulders and say, we don't have time for this. It's just going to be what it is.
Right.
It had to have been one of those two things, I think.
Yeah. It was Yeah, I struggle to be like, oh man, like that's the only reason they won. Like again,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say yes or no to that because we just don't know, and
Right.
unfortunately, we just never will. We just never will, and that sucks because that takes away. Like, I don't know how invested the players are into this and how much they knew either. So I'm not going to completely. I mean, this is primarily on the coaching staff, but I'm also not going to give a free pass to the players in the assumption that like, okay, you kind of have to know that this is going on as well too. So
Yep.
you know you're cheating.
Yeah.
So I'm not also going to just give them
this
a
is the
free
whole
pass.
thing. Yeah.
You hammer the coaches though, because you're
of
also
course.
dealing 18, 19, 20-year-old kids in comparison to grown adults who know better. Not that the college athletes don't, but the coaching staff gets this. They're the ones feeding the players. When it comes to punishment now, I think there's a few minimum things that at this point would be stunning if they did not occur. First,
I get to own the big house for
vacated
one
wins.
day.
What?
Yes,
What,
Josh.
Josh? You get
I
to own the house.
I get to own the big house for one day.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I like that.
Legally mine.
And you can change all of the paint that you want.
100%. And every single OSU fan born and raised in Columbus can do that as well. But anyway, continue.
Ooh.
We each get it for a day, for as long as it takes.
Michigan's going to lose all their wins from last season and the year before. Minimum. They're all getting vacated. All of them. Big Ten titles, gone. All those wins, gone. I don't know if they might even include this year. I mean, they have been doing it this season as well.
If the file was still active, then it's this year.
He had tickets to the OSU Penn State game, Josh.
As well as like 7 or 8 other games already.
I mean, come on, man. And so they're going to lose all of their wins. They're all gone. Jim Harbaugh will be gone in some way, shape, or form. He will get a show clause. Again, would be shocked him not getting a show clause. If you're not familiar, college football show clause is basically like, hey, if a team wanted to hire you, they hire you and you can't actually coach for 3 years. So basically it means you will never coach in college football again for the most of the time, especially when it's a multi-year deal. So my assumption would probably be Harbaugh's in the NFL somewhere next year. And then
he's trying to run the last
get
2
put on
years.
probation.
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
They'll get put on probation and they will lose scholarships. And they will be fined. All of those things are going to occur. I am
at a minimum
almost 100% confident in those things. My biggest question right now, and you guys add on if you think there's any other punishments that you think I missed or if you disagree. My question now is, what happens to this team this season? People have brought this up. The NCAA is working at warp speed, especially in comparison to their usual pace. Do you think the NCAA, the Big Ten, college football playoff, again, this is unprecedented, guys. I know like we don't know, but that's why I'm asking. What do you guys think is going to end up happening to this team this year? Because for my money right now, they look like the best, most complete team in the country. Again, I'm not sure how much of that is a horrendous schedule and 2, cheating. So, I mean, they're a good team, but are they great because of that added bonus? It's very interesting. Like, what happens to this year's team? Do you think there's even maybe a chance that they just give them a postseason ban now? I don't know. What do you guys think?
With the warp speed, I can't imagine. I don't imagine them like canceling the season. There's money tied up. That's just not going to happen. But I think a postseason ban, if this is as legitimate as we're believing it is, and again, every time I refresh Twitter, it's more. It's worse. At least a postseason ban. I don't know. The question is going to be if they can determine that players were in on it as well, because I could see some suspensions potentially for players if they were in the know. But I don't know how you go forward because if the allegations are what they are, in that there is a Google Doc or whatever, some sort of shared cloud folder of pretty much the remaining conferences, the remaining games are the same more or less teams from the year before and the year before. So like, it's going to be really I don't know how I would move forward with that, because I would operate under the assumption that Michigan knows all of the signs of their upcoming opponents minus the potentials for the playoffs. And so do you let them play? And because at that point it becomes unfair to the opposing teams, because they'll have to pull a TCU and reset all their signs.
Mm-hmm.
And is that fair for them to do? Because that is an extra, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
At this stage in the game. Now they may already be doing it. Like you said, Aaron, I don't think they're going to like cancel the season, but I don't know how you accurately even the playing field now, because it seems like Michigan probably has a built-in unfair advantage based on the remaining schedule.
So Josh, you would give them, if you were in charge, you would give them a postseason ban in your opinion. This season.
If everything that I've seen is legitimate so far, and even if 90% of it is, like the whole, like, we've not even gotten into the conspiracy of them feeding South Carolina signs.
Oh, I was gonna touch on that. I'll let Aaron talk about that before we get to South Carolina.
Oh man.
For my thing, I'm going to assume. Dang it, Beamer ball. That is Beamer ball though.
This is where it gets to a conspiracy.
Now, did South Carolina stop doing that this year? Because they suck this year.
Yeah.
No, they only pay for the two. They only pay for those 2 years. Clemson and Florida.
Aaron, it was the only game the defense wore wristbands. It was the only game. Every defender wore the wristband, and all of a sudden they're the only team that could shut down Tennessee's offense. And you're just like, what? This is madness. Like, and there's the connection, because everyone's like, why South Carolina? Well, it's Harbaugh's former defensive coordinator. So it's wild. And Beamer has been fined before for getting game plans fed to him when he was an assistant at Georgia. I mean, it is just and normally this is like, you guys are crazy. Get off that part of Twitter. It's real, man. This is all
There's
real.
legitimate accounts.
It's gonna be reported on the Washington Post tomorrow, for all we know. But let's assume everything but like that, because that puts us down a deep rabbit hole which we will never escape from. It'll be correct. It'll be a 24-hour podcast recording if that is happening.
Let's do it.
But I would vacate the wins. I would vacate wins this year before that, and I would put an immediate postseason ban.
Immediate, okay.
Because I don't trust them. Like, because even if you remove the files at this point, they're probably already doing pre-work based on like, if I'm trying to put myself in the mind of these guys, I'm already working on postseason stuff. So I'm already watching tape of Washington and I don't know what games, Georgia and
Oklahoma, Texas,
all of these standard teams. I've already found or tried to get some semblance of tape. And that you can't undo a memory of that. You can't undo the knowledge once it's in your head.
Yeah.
So I'm really hesitant to let them in. I would say the best case of action is let them finish out their games this year.
And they get beat. Honestly, that really is the best case scenario. Like, obviously we're Buckeye fans and we're saying that, but like, the best case scenario is really that they just lose and you don't have to ban them from the postseason. Because you don't want to have to do that. But
it's such a harsh move. And again, it's an interference in the game that I think is a little bit discomforting for some, for legitimate reasons. Once you start a precedent, it's hard to undo a precedent. So that being said, it's also hard to undo a precedent when you've spent $15,000 a season in tickets and travel expenses.
Right.
Yeah. Aaron, what would you do punishment-wise this season?
I don't know, because I still think I need to better grasp how, and maybe there's no answer to this. We don't have an answer right now. How big of an impact is this? Obviously, this is cheating. It's wrong. There's integrity issues, just like integrity of the game, all that aside. How significant is this? Is this a 7-point advantage? Is this a 14-point advantage? I don't know. What I would hope that the NCAA, that the Big Ten, that the College Football Playoff is doing is I hope they're going to these coaches like individually, one-on-one, saying, hey, this is a for lack of a better term. This is a safe space. This won't get leaked. What is happening? Because no one knows better than these opposing coaches that are having to deal with this. And I'm hoping that in those conversations, assuming they're happening, I don't know, that these coaches are being upfront and honest and spelling out, here's the impact that this has. How big of a deal is this? The coaches know.
Right.
So I'm hoping that whatever happens, whether it is a postseason ban, which would be relatively unprecedented when you're taking Johnny, we both have Michigan ranked number 1. When you were taking the number 1 team in the country and saying a team that has made the college football playoff the last 2 years has fallen short of reaching the championship and saying, yeah, you're not even invited. I mean, wow.
Right.
I mean,
but if it's an integrity thing, yeah.
I mean, it would both be shocking because of the significance of that kind of punishment and also kind of understandable the more that comes out about this. I think you guys said it, vacating wins, I think that goes without saying. Not a question. Wins have been and now that's it's a meaningless punishment for the most part,
right?
Because everyone watched with their eyeballs. They saw those games happen. But this is different to me than like a Reggie Bush situation, right? USC gets a ton of wins taken away. I watched Reggie Bush dominate for years in college football. That doesn't change my mind. I haven't forgotten that Reggie Bush won a Heisman. That his Heisman is not invalid in my eyes. This is a little different because I don't
also give him his Heisman back.
Yeah, gosh, what are we doing? This is different. So I feel like I don't totally understand how significant is this? Because you're right. All the coaches are doing a good job. They are playing the politician. They're saying the right words. They're not stirring up anything because I guarantee you, maybe no one's doing it to this scale, but there are certainly other teams. We mentioned a couple examples of other coaches pushing the line of the law, or in the case of Michigan, just jumping as far over it as humanly possible.
Right.
So my answer is a bad one because I don't know. But vacated wins, obviously, and I'm with you. I don't see how Jim Harbaugh escapes this.
No, unscathed. He will not be coaching.
He was trying to leave the last 2 years anyways. Maybe it was because of this. Who knows? He's so done with the NCAA for any number of reasons. They've not gotten along ever.
They're done with him.
And they're done with him now. Yep.
Aaron, that's the one thing. Michigan immediately started pointing the finger at like Ohio State and then Greg Schiano and who.
Right.
This is an inside job, everybody. They took themselves down from the inside. Didn't have to do this. They're all Michigan people, even on the NCAA infractions committee. Like this is wild. And they're just fans are wildly swinging, trying to find a scapegoat outside of their own community, and they can't because it's them. So the South Carolina thing is wild and crazy. Josh, I am with you based on the knowledge right now. If it is accurate and true, and they have the paper trail that it seems like they do, because guys, this isn't part of the reason this is going warp speed is because the outside law firm came to the NCAA and said, here's our binder with all the evidence.
Yep.
This is not the NCAA starting off with nothing. I don't see how you let them play in the postseason. Like, you're right, Josh. There's no way you shut down the season. You still play the regular season games. But then that'll be a wild time of, okay, well, like, let's assume Ohio State, even if they lose to Michigan, well, they already beat Penn State, so they're going to the Big Ten title then anyway. Like, what do you do with the playoff then in that situation? Does that loss, like, hypothetical loss to Michigan, what does that count for now? So it doesn't, unfortunately, it wouldn't stop right there, like, to where it's just like, oh, well, they're out. Well, they still play the rest of those games. So then how would you judge Ohio State when it comes to, like, getting into the playoff or not? Or Penn State, for that matter, if they were able to beat Michigan and get in there. It's gosh, the whole thing's a mess. It's not ending anytime soon.
No.
So if you're a Michigan fan and you're already tired of it, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Like, just buckle down, man. Yeah. Just don't get on Twitter, man. It's only getting worse and worse. All I can say is you're going to have a wickedly angry Ryan Day and Ohio State team going into Ann Arbor the last Saturday of November. That game cannot come soon enough. for Buckeye fans.
Or maybe
after
it can
this
wait while we
week.
try to figure out how to make dummy signals.
Yeah, that too.
One
Let us figure
last
out a
thing
new
on
system.
the TCU thing, because I think this might be the whole sticking point, and really, if not, because like I said, I don't understand completely the significance on the field. How much of an impact was this?
Right.
According to Ross Dellinger on Twitter, TCU coaches learned from other staffs about Michigan's, quote, elaborate sign stealing before the semifinal.
There you go.
TCU changed the signs, but used dummy signs to trick the Wolverines, like we said. But then he goes on, Michigan's scheme was so widespread among coaches that one told TCU staff before the game they have the most elaborate signal stealing in the history of the world. And obviously, there's obviously some sarcasm there.
Yeah.
One
But they have a
TCU coach
super
says you can
soldier.
see TCU apparently in this article said at some point during this game, you can see the sheet that Stallions, who is our infamous sign stealer here, is holding with our signs on them. Which makes me think that, gosh, if there was this much communication to TCU saying, hey guys, here's what Michigan's like, if it was not that big of a deal, coaches would not bother reaching out to TCU. And it sounds like multiple did.
And maybe it got to the point to where at that point the coaches really knew what was happening. Because let's also not like, they might have known some sign stealing was happening, but it might have taken a while for the coaching staffs to get on the level of understanding how elaborate of a sign stealing, like organized it was for Michigan. Because again, sign stealing, like Josh said at the very beginning of this, within a game happens. And it's totally fine. Because if you're dumb about how you signal and the other team figures it out in the game, that's on you. And that's really great job by the other team to figure it out. Hey, that is what it is. But yeah, Aaron, that's a great quote. It makes me love that TCU game even more because they just let them have it. It kind of explains the TCU beating Michigan, but not beating, like even showing up against Georgia a little bit more too. But that is the part that makes me okay with the postseason ban. It affected the games.
Yeah.
It affected the outcomes. Clearly, it already has. So if it's accurate, I just don't have a problem with this. I mean, Michigan basically bred a super soldier, sent him off to the, like, what is he, Navy? He went to the Navy Academy and then he came back. He wrote a 600-page manifesto. This is wild, man. It is wild. This is my kind of drama and conspiracy that I am just like fascinated, even if it wasn't Michigan. Fascinated. And now you're going to get Tennessee Twitter in on this. And now things are just going to go even more off the rails because now
we're
with the
back
South
to
Carolina thing,
it all goes back to Beamer
oh
Ball.
my gosh.
Yes, it does.
You don't want Tennessee Twitter. If there's a crazier fan base than Ohio State on Twitter, it's Tennessee. And
It's Tennessee.
whoo, it's going to be a good time, everybody.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's a separate thing.
I don't want to. Again, we could talk about this for 24 hours.
Yeah.
We probably should
And
move
we
on
will.
because we do have other segments that we promise you, the listener. But look, we obviously ranted for a while, and you knew that was coming, and I hope you enjoyed it. I really want to know
we
your
went for
thoughts on
45
this.
minutes. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it goes fast. It was not an exaggeration. Editing Aaron's not going to be able to do much with that. That's just going to be what it is. That's fine. But we really do want to know your thoughts. So hit us up on Twitter. We'll throw some questions out there too. I don't have the question. Obviously, we'll call this the question of the week. What should Michigan's punishment be for all of this? So we'll throw that out on Instagram, on Twitter. If you're listening to this episode, it should already be there. Because that's the big question. I don't think there's a question of, is this cheating? Yes or no? I mean, it is. And don't let chronically online Michigan fans tell you otherwise. Like, oh, Ohio State scored on this specific play where the cameras were showing cheating. Like, come on.
That just means those players. Wow.
Yeah, that.
I mean, that's
bad look.
Wow.
Bad look. And now
that's what
I couldn't guard Marvin Harrison if you told me exactly what move he was going to do too. I get it. That's fair.
Right.
But neither could Penn State this week. There's a quick little transition.
Ayo.
Ohio State beats Penn State, not necessarily in the way I think Buckeye fans thought. It was an ugly game. But here's the thing, and I'll mention this real because we're truly going to try to cram like 30, 40 minutes of podcast in like 20 here. Ohio State, it's so confusing for us Buckeye fans because this is such a polar opposite scheme and style than we're used to. This is truly Jim Tressel football. There's a good note from Phil Steele This is the top defenses holding opponents to yards per game below their season average. Utah's number 3, holding their opponents to an average of 131 yards less than that opponent is used to. Penn State's second at 133. Ohio State, number 1, 138. It's the defense that's carrying this team. The offense did just enough, and by the offense, I really mean Marvin Harrison Jr. is just an alien and is insane. No one can guard him, even if you have a first-round cornerback pick like Penn State probably has.
Maserati Marv.
Yeah, wow. So I don't
sign that NIL deal now.
Yeah, for real. I don't know if I have a lot to say about that game anymore, partly because we're almost a week past it, and we're moving on like Buckeyes go on the road to Madison. But it was a good win. Johnny, we didn't think they were going to pull it out, and they found a way. Just weird though.
Like we focus on the game from an Ohio State perspective because we're Buckeye fans, but I'll just do really quick Penn State perspective here because I think that's actually the more interesting side to take away here. What did I say? The ways Ohio State would win was because they're home, and I don't trust James Franklin. Yep. And I really should have put more emphasis on that second one and picked Ohio State to win because of it. Because they came in with their base offense and base packages and thought that would beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
And that's just insane. That is just pure insanity. And Penn State's defense played plenty well enough to win. Aaron, you just said they're right behind Ohio State. They're number 2 in defense. Wild that they didn't get Katron Allen and Nick Singleton in the game at the same time. They're their 2 best offensive players. They were never in at the same time. They had 18 combined carries running the ball. I know they struggled to run the ball, but they're your 2 best weapons. Get them the ball somehow. There was no creativity. We said whoever protected their quarterback better would win the game. Actually, it was Ohio State's offensive line that vastly they held serve against Penn State's great defensive line. Penn State, Aller was running for his life half of that game. There weren't great, crazy sack numbers, but he was running around. He was not comfortable in that game. And Penn State did not play that game like they trusted Aller. And you had to just let him rip. And they never did. They never let him just rip the ball and try to show off his skills and throw it. It was wild to me. I would be so disappointed in my coaching staff. That felt like a coaching loss for Penn State. I don't know what to do with James Franklin. I think he's just a good coach. He's just not great, and I don't think he ever will at this point because it's just been a long time, man, and they have the talent to do it. And Ohio State's vulnerable this year, and I know they'll probably be even better next year. These guys will get a year older, but you can't coach not to lose. You can't coach scared. You got to take some risks. You're on the road against Ohio State. Go for it, man. I'd rather you go out there and throw 3 picks in the game going for it. And it just felt like they never were willing to risk it in that game. So Penn State fans should be incredibly frustrated. I would hope that at home against Michigan in a few weeks, that script would flip and you'd be really aggressive and go for it. Because that's the only way you have a chance.
And what do you have to lose at this point?
Nothing. You have to win that game. That game is now the whole season for Penn State. To meet any of your goals, you have to win that game. You have to. There's nothing else. Yeah, wild.
So that was the big one. There was some other games sprinkled in that were obviously pretty notable. USC kicked out of the college football playoff discussion as we kind of foresaw
those pig
at
farmers.
The beginning of the
What
year.
did we say?
So Utah, Oregon, that's a big game this week. Florida State continues to be undefeated. They get past Duke, so that's they're really the lone survivor in the ACC. North Carolina going down. So we'll break down more. Well, I'm not going to promise you that we're going to break down actual college football next week because who knows? But
We're going to break down more Jim Harbaugh news.
it seems like
I'm terrified for my Ducks and Bo Nix this week.
Yeah.
Terrified. Those pig farmers are nasty in Utah.
Utah is
that team. I love that team.
They are 116-36 at home. Utah.
And Josh, a bunch of those losses are during COVID when they didn't have fans. So you should throw those out too. Wild.
Is that
They
just
are
in the Kyle
undefeated at
Whittingham
home.
era, Josh?
This
Or
is since
Pac-12.
since 98.
Oh, well, then most of those losses are just without Whittingham then.
Yeah.
88,
Yeah.
88 and 25 since Whittingham.
Yeah, there you go.
Whew. And again, take out some COVID losses there too. So.
Exactly. Ignore. Because exactly.
That doesn't count. There are no fans. It doesn't count.
Their undefeated home seasons were 08, 09, 19, 21, and 22. So 100% remove. Like, call those. I'm going to call that consecutive.
I do think Oregon and Bo Nix win this week, but I'm terrified.
Yeah, that'll be.
Yes. This is the make or break, obviously, for Oregon, and I would say for largely,
it's an elimination game. The playoffs have begun. Everyone,
I say this is a Pac-12 elimination game too.
Oh, for sure.
If they can't, if whichever team wins does not stay at one loss, we're back to what we always talk about with the Pac-12, and that they eat each other up.
Utah's ready to do it again.
They're ready.
Those are
make no mistake
nice
about
college
it.
football contenders you have. It'd be a shame if something were to happen to them.
The funny thing is, though, usually Utah does this with like 3 losses already in the bag. They've only got 1. Right. So maybe
I know. Without Rising, it just doesn't seem feasible.
I don't either.
Their offense,
I agree.
I can't see it.
Yeah.
Which is so sad. I wish Cam Rising was playing. Because what you just said, Aaron, normally they already have 3 losses and they're just ruining it for everyone else. Now they could legitimately be in the playoff, but they don't have the quarterback to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oregon State is not getting talked about nearly enough, but they also go to Arizona at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So yikes. That's danger. All right.
After dark in Arizona is the most dangerous spot in the Pac-12.
Or anywhere,
so dark.
Really.
It's so dark there at night.
Yeah.
So dark.
Yeah. All right. Picks of the week. Josh, congratulations. Even though you were dead, you submitted your pick from the grave and were the only one to correctly predict that the Phoenix Suns would knock off Golden State on the NBA's opening night. They did by a score of 108-104. Devin Booker got a win, looked great, and promptly is out, in quotes, with a foot injury. So the NBA putting their, hey, stars, please play games for us strategy or rules to the test real early. No Bradley Beal in their game against the Lakers tonight. Interesting game there, or maybe that's tomorrow. One of the two, whichever. No, it's tonight. Lakers, Warriors, Kevin Durant, LeBron James playing on the same basketball court. In a regular season game for the first time in like 5 years. So that's kind of interesting. But we're not picking that. We're picking the wagon wheel rivalry. Ladies and gentlemen, Maction is here. Maction starts next week, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's here. So Akron and Kent State play for the wagon wheel rivalry. We'll start with that. We've got another pick to do, but I'm actually, you know what? Because of time, I'm looking at this list, guys. We all have Akron.
We all have Akron, which is crazy because we don't share it because it's kind of mean, but I track a worst list all season in college football.
Yep.
And with Nevada getting their first win of the season, also RIP to Sam Houston. They just can't catch a break. Last night was brutal. But Akron and Kent State.
Ejection in that game too, for those that know.
We won't say why.
Yeah.
Northeast Ohio, though, represents bottom 2 teams in my worst list. You have Akron at 1-7 and Kent State at 1-7. Oh, they're awful. Both of their wins are to FCS opponents. So, and this is the only quote unquote winnable game I have listed for either school the rest of the season. Doesn't mean they couldn't because it's Maction, but the wagon wheel means everything. And by everything, I mean just avoiding just the worst. The worst. Kent State, I will say Kent State had everyone transfer out. They lost their coach. They kind of have a reason. Akron's always here. So
Akron's bad.
Yeah,
I tried so hard.
I think the Zips get it.
I tried so hard to not pick the Zips. Because when 2 teams are like this, I'm not going off of like, oh, what's closer. I'm going off the most famous person.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going off a notable alumni. And I can't, but I also, like, if there was a notorious alumni, I got to pick against them. I'm like desperately on the Wikipedia page of Kent State alum, trying to find anybody who I'm like, oh, this is cooler, because I picked Akron because of Drew Carey. Drew Carey, who's 9 anyway, did not graduate, but went to Akron. So I'm like, cool, Zips it is.
Yep.
You know who went to Kent State and I got to pick against them?
My grandma?
Nick Saban.
Oh, that's true, actually.
Oh yeah,
And so I'm like,
forgot about
I
that.
can't on principle.
Yeah.
I have to say no. Also, Julian Edelman. So, and I'm salty.
Yep. Played
For no
quarterback
reason,
there.
just
Fun
am.
fact.
Yeah. Can do it all.
Yep. All right.
I tried so hard.
That's
guys.
good reasoning, Josh. I approve of that.
Thank you.
Not that you need my approval to make your picks, because you're creeping up. By the way, I didn't say the standings.
Honestly,
You're creeping
honestly,
up there.
your approval does actually disturb me.
Yeah, that's fair. I've got 66 points. Johnny, you've got 63. Josh, you've got 61. So here's where we might have a little bit more wiggle room. We are picking the World Series. Again, baseball, we are really not trying to slant you because the playoffs were phenomenal. This is the first time ever that the road teams were down 3-2 and won both games. That was, of course, the Texas Rangers over the Houston Astros and the Arizona Diamondbacks over the Philadelphia Phillies. Both went to Game 7. It was awesome. Great postseason baseball. I think this series is going to be great. I don't even know who I'm rooting for, which is kind of fun. I'm kind of rooting for both teams. I won't really be upset either way.
Oh man, this is going to be so much fun.
I do think the Rangers are going to win in 7. Just at risk of being overly simplifying this matchup, I think I trust the Texas bats more, but I also think I trust the Arizona pitching staff more. So strength on strength, I'm taking the Rangers in a long series in which both teams probably wish they were on the road. These teams are like, can we please have road team advantage, like road field advantage? Like, I don't want
the Rangers Astros series. The home team was 0-7.
Yeah,
ridiculous. I mean, just ridiculous.
Like the Rangers have not lost on the road.
They're 8-0 on the road.
It's insane.
But totally
when they found out they had home field, they're like, "Dang it!
Dang it!
Dang it!"
Yeah, Josh, what do you're right there? First of all, what are the vibes? What are you picking?
Vibes are glorious. Like I said, I do nothing. My boss is born and raised in Houston. My roommate born and raised in Houston. Like my coworkers, Rangers. So like we had our the seminary has its main campus in Dallas, and then we had our extension campus. We have an extension campus in Houston. So last Wednesday we did do a spirits off and try and out spirit each other. And I think technically that night was that was the first home game, the first Rangers home game. So obviously it was just absolute crushing. Not as heartbreaking as the next one, but still disappointing. But man, I just wish I had $500 right now.
Yeah,
to go buy a
get in the door price, I assume.
That's yeah. Get in the door price is like $550. Which I get it. I've been doing nothing but watch Rangers hype videos all week. I've been doing nothing but just watch Garcia highlights, and more importantly, I'm going to take Rangers. Man, for me, there's something uneasy about the Rangers pitching that, like, I watched them twice over the summer, and man, when they're on, but they can go so cold, pitching wise. And that's what I'm always just a little bit worried about. And so love that we got the dubs. Listen, we got the AL pennant. We made Houston sad. I think we made America happy. I'm not going to be super, super bummed out if we lose. However, there it is. I found also that if I'm a fan of a team, then they lose. So I put too much into this, but it'd be the first. I mean, it's a chance too for either the Diamondbacks or the Rangers to get their first World Series championship, which is super fun.
Yeah,
I'm going to take Rangers in home field advantage. Let's do Rangers 6.
Okay, I like it. Johnny, what do you got?
I have the Rangers in 6 as well.
Congratulations, Diamondbacks.
Yeah, well dang it, Josh. Aaron picked them in 7 at least, so I was like, "Oh well,
good job, Arizona."
Okay, maybe it will be different."
Congratulations, Diamondbacks, on your sweep of
Kent State and Arizona. Congratulations, because we have just given your opponents the kiss of death.
Also, congratulations, Harbaugh, on getting a promotion at the end of this.
By the way, Harbaugh not winning a bowl
Turns
game
out
is
Ryan
now
Day
all
planted this evidence.
It all makes sense
It's all
now.
full circle.
See, there's just too much circumstantial
makes-
evidence. There's
It
too
just
much.
adds up too well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, there's baseball. That was lame, but again, I can't promise because who knows what the NCAA is going to do with this. But I will give you my best effort to
Baseball,
actually
have
talk
a-
about baseball, to break down some of these games
Yes.
because it deserves, like, the postseason's been awesome.
It's been really good. There's actually been some. I mean, we need to seriously talk about it. Maybe after the World Series is done, and talk about because we've not really talked about we mentioned it the big bye week that may have been a really big harm.
Mhm.
There's been some weird things that have happened because of the new rules, and so we definitely need to break that down. But sorry, baseball, have a more recent scandal for us to talk about, and maybe we can get into this.
Yeah. And even the new rules that they implemented this year, like viewership was up 10%, all good things there. Curtis on YouTube is helping us out. He says, counter Curse, Arizona and 4. There you go. Thank you, Curtis. You can
Thank you, Curtis.
watch this
Thank you,
show
Curtis.
on YouTube. And if you'd like, I would tell you a time that we record, but it's because we've all been dead at various times. I don't even know when we record anymore. So when I know, I'll tell you. But
Who knows?
you can. But here's the deal. Here's what you should do. You should subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you hit that bell, it will tell you when we go live. So then, if you're just chilling and you want to hear us yell about Michigan for an hour, then you can do that. All right, gentlemen, it's time for what we're following, and it's also time for Halloween, guys. Look, I'm not much of a Halloween person. I don't really like dressing up. I have questions about people that put a ton of Halloween decorations in their yard. I just question their life choices a little bit. However, I love candy. And so it's time to see if we agree / can you predict the top 10 popular candies in America or the worst 10. And thankfully, toothpaste is not on this list. Straight to jail, those of you that are offering kids toothpaste on Halloween. Just
that's terrible.
straight to jail without
No.
parole. So there's 10 good candies. There's 10 bad candies. We'll do top 10's a lot. We'll try to do top 5. Let me ask you this before we try to guess the top 5. Johnny,
I should have not looked at the article.
yeah, that's
yeah,
okay.
I pulled it up.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, I'll just ask you then. What is your favorite?
This list is terrible.
This list is
I hate
horrendous.
this
Actually,
list.
this is a really stupid
This makes me
list.
more angry than the Michigan thing. Not actually, but this is
We're gonna
terrible.
spend another
Hot
45
tamales
minutes on-
as third.
Hot tamales is number 3.
Are
That's
we
exactly what I was
Those are
saying.
garbage.
What psychopath?
Those
is it like
are
by number?
awful. That's
the heck are
almost
Mike and
as
I
bad as
comments?
putting
Yeah,
the weird
please, this is the
strawberry
worst.
candies on this list that nobody even knows what company makes them or where they come from, but they end up in your, pillowcase.
Right.
That's
How are they?
gathering your candy at the end.
And again,
Like,
now
are,
Johnny,
are you kidding me?
Oh gosh, that's
Bird?
what is this? Now, again,
Actually, the
you're
rest of
looking
the
at
list isn't that bad.
All right,
That's
I'll read the
an
list because you
abomination.
guys-
You're looking at,
you
you're
guys
looking
have
at
it in
list
front
of
of you.
sales. You're looking at
Audience
list
is
by
like, what
sales.
the heck
There's
is
like the
happening?
best ranked down at the end.
Candy
and it's
corn
still
being
bad.
on this list though makes me very happy because
Yes.
that is a pleasant surprise. I wouldn't expect them to put them on.
Have you guys
So
both read the
I'm
worst
happy.
list? If you have, don't.
Oh,
I was,
okay,
like,
won't.
kind of
I won't.
skimming.
I
I
haven't
wasn't
read
really-
it yet.
Okay,
I
Johnny
haven't
hasn't read
yet.
it. Johnny's our test subject. Here's the top 10. Snickers number 10. Hershey 9. Just straight up Hershey. Candy corn 8. Yes. Thumbs up. Love candy
Very
corn.
good.
Hershey Kiss 7. Starburst 6. Only the pink ones. That was my insertion into
orange.
this. 5 Sour Patch Kids. 4 Skittles. 3 Hot Tamales. There's no way.
Tamales.
And
What
2
is this?
M&Ms. 1 Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Number 1, that's a runaway. That's easy. Undefeated.
It's not a
Yeah.
bad list besides number 3.
No, it's perfectly reasonable.
What are they? Yeah, I'm like there were so many like pill-shaped candies. I would
I
take.
feel like that
like,
was
all the
hot
time
tamales
over-
wasn't on this list, and they're like, "This is too basic. No one's gonna care. We have to make it someone furious."
Yeah.
I mean, Rolling's
And-
done this. It's where they're like, "Oh, here's the best drummers of all time," and they like will forget somebody or like underrank them,
yeah.
and then everyone just hates comments. This is it. Now I will say, here's my hot take: candy corn, throw it in the fire. It's just wax. It's colored wax. I don't know what you guys see in it.
It's incredible, but it does. I understand. It's one of those things you hate or
Incredibly
love.
mid.
That shows up because Johnny. We'll see if you can guess. Candies in the top 5. Candy corn is on there. It's number 2.
I figured.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the worst,
Yeah.
right?
What? Name
Yeah.
a candy
Yeah.
that you hate, or just name a candy you think might be in the worst 5. or 10.
I don't think they're the worst, but they're not my favorite. I'm gonna go like Almond Joy or Mounds.
That's a really
Oh,
good
yeah.
guess. It's not on this list, but that's a really good guess.
Oh, okay.
I don't like
I
those.
thought
Like,
that would be
I
That's
know
a good
number
guess.
one, but I don't know. I'll guess
Smarties,
on the-
maybe, Aaron.
Smarties?
Smarties.
Smarties is
Smarties
number
people don't
7,
like.
which I love Smarties.
Oh, okay.
But it's
I
on
get
the
it, though.
list.
but they're
It-
very unpopular.
I feel my teeth rotting as I'm eating those. So
I mean,
like,
it is
I
straight
love them,
sugar.
but I
Yeah.
but
As
I
the word
get it.
intended.
I get it. Let's see
Listen,
what else.
sour Smarties, goated,
Mm-hmm.
so good.
Oh. I don't think I've had sour Smarties. Anyway, what else? What else could be bad? What about those like sugar pumpkins? I don't even know what to call them. It's just candy corn, but it's a pumpkin instead. You know what
See,
I'm talking about?
Hotter take.
Those are
I'd much
great.
rather- I'll take a pumpkin over a candy corn.
Oh yeah,
But if they,
agreed.
Josh, I
Pumpkins are
understand,
delicious.
but
Yeah.
I understand that. Like, but since candy corn's on the list, are the pumpkins on
They're
there
not.
too?
I think it's all
Oh.
encompassing.
Okay. Okay.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. It's all in. Well,
I think.
that's wrong too.
I don't
Um,
know. They're not on it. They're not on the list.
What else would be terrible? If a Babe
Those,
Ruth
like,
is on
mulch
here, I'm
balls
gonna
are
lose
bad.
my freaking mind
it is
because those
not.
are good.
It's not.
Okay.
I will say none of
maybe
these are
100
chocolate, except for I'll give you number 4
Oh.
because I don't get this at all. Number 4 is just generic peanut butter kisses. That makes no sense.
Oh,
Peanut butter.
I mean,
Kisses.
those aren't great, but I don't understand how that is like.
No.
Oh, those suck.
Anything,
But that's the
anything
only
I don't get
chocolate
that.
thing on this list.
Yeah, anything
Oh,
that's
okay,
Buckeye adjacent
interesting.
always is like.
Yeah.
I'll give it a little bit of grace.
Yep. That's the
Well,
only
it's also
chocolate.
just like it's not bad. It's just kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron, I don't know what to call those. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like those strawberry.
Yeah,
like,
I do know
there's
what you're
always
talking
wrapped,
about.
Like looked up like
Oh,
a strawberry.
yeah.
I don't know what they're
Grandma
called
candies?
though. Like,
Yeah.
are they on here?
There's only one thing that is on here that I don't know the name of. Let me see.
Maybe it's that.
There's a
I
thing
don't know.
called
Like
Mary Jane's candy. Do you guys know what that is? Oh, it's not.
Mary, that's
no, I
marijuana.
bet it's
That's
that.
marijuana.
that is marijuana. Josh is.
Yep, you heard it here first. Kids
The
hate
worst candy.
when you hand out marijuana to them at Halloween. Don't do it. They hate it. It's number
Eat it.
6 on this list. I don't know. It's apparently some hard candy I've never heard of. Johnny, I do know what you're talking about. It's
Oh.
not on this list.
Jawbreakers. Are jawbreakers on the
They're
list?
not. That's a
Jawbreakers are
good guess,
nasty.
though.
Oh,
That's
dang.
really good.
Okay, I'm probably not going to get it.
No,
I feel
you're
like I've
not
had
for lack of
decent
good
guesses
guesses, though. I'll read the list, see if you agree, disagree. Number 10 is Tootsie Roll. I get it. I don't mind them.
Yeah.
But
No,
Okay.
that can't be on the worst list, though. It shouldn't be on the
I feel like
at least
that's
it's 10.
generically the candy
Of
that
the
does
chocolate,
not
it's
get
probably
picked
not
up.
the chocolate I'm going for.
That's
yeah.
true. That is chocolate, kind of technically. But I feel like
Ish,
if you're at a
yeah.
parade, that's just
Adjacent.
the classic
Chocolate
one that's just
adjacent.
not like on the
Oh, have
street and
to.
cars are running over.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I'm kind of like
Yeah.
with the peanut butter kisses, though. I'm like, that's
Love
not what
it.
I'm going for, but
Yeah.
I don't mind it as an accessory
Yeah,
to
respect.
the rest of my
Yeah.
candy.
9 is Bit O Honey, which
Oh, Bit O' Honey. I like Bit O' Honey, but I'm
Yeah.
also 90.
Is that like the pixie sticks, but it's honey?
No,
No.
it's basically a chunk of honey. And you just gotta let it. You know, like those
What could be wrong with
Nalomators?
that?
It's not like you have to like let it melt in your mouth real quick. Like it takes a sec to melt, and then you can like chew it. Otherwise, it's like
Okay.
not great.
Wait, Aaron, butterscotch isn't on here, is it?
it's not.
I will lose my
Yeah,
mind.
that'd be a crime.
Okay.
8
that
is
were those
licorice.
originals.
That seems like that's yeah.
that's fair.
I agree with that one.
I'm starting to
I guess
grow
I-
on
I
licorice,
get
but I
it.
get it.
Yeah.
So if
7
we're talking
Smarties.
Halloween candy, I don't want.
Yeah, if I'm getting
Smarties,
licorice,
yeah,
yeah.
I get it. Okay.
7 Smarties, 6 Mary Janes, 5 is the wax cola bottles. Which
Yeah, those are weird. That's not candy. That's just like a weird.
yeah.
What?
So there's like these little colas. It's like little juice things or whatever, but it's like sealed in wax, and you bite off the tip and like suck it down. It's like
I've never had this.
like a
Somebody
tablespoon worth of liquid.
Somebody on Twitter send me this. I don't know what this is.
Yeah,
Continuing.
Johnny doesn't have access to Google. Twitter, help him.
Help me.
4 peanut butter kisses, 3 Necco wafers. That is a good one to have at
Oh
number
gosh,
3.
those are disgusting.
Those
That's
are
a good
bad.
number 3.
Johnny, have you ever had a Necco wafer?
No, what is that?
Well,
They're
find
so
some,
bad.
just
They're
find
like
some
great
chalk
childhood.
in
I don't
your
even know what these
garage and
are.
It's
scarf
think of
it
a
down.
Tums. It's a Tums without like the benefits.
Yes.
what?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
it's chalk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
When we do, my grandmother has this on my dad's side. My grandmother has this Thanksgiving tradition where she makes homemade gingerbread houses, and then she provides all the candy for us to like decorate them with. And we always use Necco wafers as shingles, and we always tried to eat one, and we never could because
Yep.
they're that bad. And then there's a licorice flavored one, which is just a double whammy.
Oh, that's
what? That's
tough.
number one.
We're apparently insulting one of Curtis's favorites, so sorry, Curtis, about that. Number
Curtis,
2 is
sorry.
candy corn. Number 1 is circus peanuts.
Oh,
Wait, why are people getting circus peanuts on Halloween?
I don't
No,
know.
that can't
This
be
might-
on here. If somebody's giving it out, then they're wrong. It's not a Halloween candy.
I
It
agree.
doesn't fit. That's
I
like
agree.
handing out toothbrushes and like toothpaste is number 1 on the list. It's like, no, that person's just insane.
I agree.
Like that doesn't. No.
Well, we said
That's
straight
wrong.
to jail for the people giving toothpaste. The room right next to them belongs to the people that are giving out circus peanuts on Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, I like
by the-
circus peanuts, but it's not Halloween candy.
Yeah.
hey, just as a side note, I did go to nuts.com
Don't-
and you can buy an 18-pound case. An 18-pound case of circus
Wait,
peanuts for
case?
for $107.
Not a bag, a case.
A pallet, if you will.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
How much money?
$107. It is on sale.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
It is about 45 pieces per pound.
Still haven't bought candy yet for
So you
trick
are
or treat. Maybe
looking-
I'll do that.
You are looking at close to like 800 circus peanuts
Oh man.
for $110.
Johnny, sometime when 5th and goal is a little bit more profitable and we have money to blow on stupid bets, our college football bet should absolutely be that you just have to buy the pallet
The
of
loser
circus
has
peanuts
to eat
and eat
a
it.
pallet of circus-
By the time the next college football
must-
season starts, I expect those to be gone.
You must leave them also in your living room.
Yeah.
You
the
can't
most
just like stick them in your garage.
Yeah, the most inconvenient place ever. Like right at the
Oh,
foot of your
hey.
bed. Yep.
Or this is also gonna be really good. You can do this, or you can do a 1-pound bag for $8 and set it on an auto delivery. And so the loser would have to because you can just
Oh.
eat the peanuts, and I would set the you'd have to eat all the peanuts by the time the next shipment comes,
Yeah.
but I set the shipment time.
Mm, that's good.
Oh my gosh.
That's good.
That's
That's
Just
diabolical.
a pound.
I love it.
Would you rather 18 pounds of circus peanuts all at once, or 1-pound bags shipped to you at random times throughout the calendar year?
Definitely
I
the
kind of
second
think
one.
that'd be a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a nice surprise.
Oh, Josh was thinking of me
I mean-
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
All right. I have many things that I'm following. Many things. One, happy anniversary to you guys listening yesterday, but to us recording today. You know what happened 1 year ago? Elon bought Twitter.
Oh wow.
Happy anniversary. He
Sad day.
is so happy and so proud.
Hmm.
This great app that he totally did not do anything negative to.
Yeah.
2. I guess I only was following 2 things. The second one, I have found a new system of zoology. This is the theory. This is the system to end all systems. Kingdom, phylum, class.
Get him
gosh.
biology Twitter.
Mhm.
King
Get 'em.
Philip cried
Get 'em.
out for goodness sake.
He's
What's the
probably
O?
wrong. Get him.
What's the
Or,
O? Order.
order. There
Yeah.
you go.
Order,
We're smart,
family.
guys.
Yes. Anyway, ignore it. Yeah, don't even worry about memorizing it because it doesn't matter anymore. Animals. I found this on Australian talk radio, or like an Australian
course.
talk show. Animals there are 4 categories of animals now: dogs, cats, bugs, and water. Every animal in the world fits into these 4 categories. Let me walk you through it. Dogs are dogs, obviously. Bears are dogs.
I kind of get that one.
Like big possums are dogs. Like elephants are dogs. Big, kind of lumbering, kind of chaotic at times. Cats are less chaotic dogs. So cats are cats. But a little bit sneaky and a little sneaky. So I'm thinking smaller possums. Raccoons are cats.
I love how possums have to be split in 2.
You
like,
have to,
For
depending on
some
the
reason,
size.
possums can't just be dogs or cats. Like,
Yes. Then there's bugs. Or sorry, water. Water is easy. Water is anything in the water. Spends most of its time in water. It's water. Easy. Fish are water. Whales are water. anything that you do not know what it is and can't accurately or like consistently like categorize it, or if it's got like a weird feature, it's a bug. So bugs are bugs. Bats are bugs because sonar. Sonar's freaky. That's a bug.
Yep.
I get that.
So this is new. You can ask me, and I will with 100% certainty tell you what category it is. Ask me anything, whichever animal you guys want. I'll categorize it right now for you.
Anteater.
Anteater. That's a bug.
What?
It eats.
What?
It eats.
No,
Yeah.
wrong.
Really long
That's
nose.
what it
really long
eats.
nose.
No way, man.
Really long
If
nose.
anything,
That's
an
freaky.
anteater's a dog. Like,
Yeah.
get out of here.
No. My secondary was going to be cat. Come on.
No
A seal.
way.
Actually, that one's easy, but
Seal water. Yeah. Next.
What about a turtle, Josh? What about a turtle?
Turtle? See, it spends some of its time in water.
Mhm.
Will lay eggs. That's a bug.
no.
What about a beaver? What? A turtle's not a bug. What about a beaver? Beaver, Josh.
Beaver's a dog. That's a dog.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's
Okay,
a
he
resourceful.
spends a lot
yeah.
of time in the water.
But that's fair though, because it is just a beaver sees sticks and sees a river
Yeah.
flowing and just says absolutely not. It's that meme. That's such dog
No, yeah.
behavior.
That is
No,
true.
dogs are
That
simple.
is
Dogs
dark.
don't think. Dogs do
That
not
is dark
process that
behavior.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
dogs are lovable and dumb. So it's simple. Sorry, lovable and simple. Beaver sees river, says that ought not be, and immediately puts a stop to it.
Oh my.
Yes.
Oh.
But platypi bugs.
Why you gotta do
They can
Perry
poison
that
you.
way?
They can poison you.
Hmm.
They poison anything that
Perry
lives
doesn't
sometimes in the
deserve
water
that
and then
slander.
injects you with like poison water. That's a bug. That's 100% bug. That's freaky.
But what if he wore a fedora and was teal instead of brown?
Honestly, my gut goes dog,
Okay. I get that.
but he would probably, based on my classifications, probably go cat in that case. Because I feel like cats are a little bit shiftier, but a little bit smarter, a little bit craftier, and so I would call Perry a very smart platypus. So
Okay.
I'd throw him in the cat. Perry goes in the cat category. Every other platypus bug, 100%, no shot. This is a perfect system, and you will grow to love it.
No, nope, it's
Yep.
not. It's not
Yes, it
perfect.
is.
Anteater,
It is.
anteater can't be a bug.
Yeah.
All
Who
right.
else?
Well, I'll
When it's
move on.
classified. Listen, other things eat bugs. Chimpanzees eat bugs. Chimpanzees, dogs, by the way.
People eat bugs.
Yeah, but guess what? That's not our primary thing. When you're called an anteater and you're only known for that, that is your only definable trait, and you got this really long, weird freaking snout. That's bug category all the way.
Mm.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
I will, but not now because we're running over. What I'm following this week is very quick, but it's gross. And when I'm talking about grossness in the fall, which is my favorite season, by the way, it usually revolves around the Big Ten West and college football because there is nothing grosser than that division in the Big Ten. Now, why do I say that? So our favorites on Twitter, the Sickos Committee, I mean, God bless them, doing the Lord's work. They love doing this time of year. As we're getting closer in the calendar to November, there is an opportunity for the Big Ten West in their final season to go out with a bang. And there's a chance for a 7-way tie.
Mm.
There are 7 teams in the division. There's still a chance for a 7-way tie to occur. And it's not that insane, honestly, partially just because it's the Big Ten West. And the final record for every team when they would finish this within the Big Ten, just conference record, would be 4-5.
Mm.
And
Beautiful.
that is
Ugh.
just beautiful and disgusting at the same time. I mean, it's just terrible. So, will this happen? Probably not, but it's not impossible. I'll just give you this week's results that we need so that you know what your rooting interests are. Illinois needs to beat Minnesota. That could happen. Iowa needs to beat Northwestern. Likely. Need Minnesota to beat Michigan State. Sure. Nebraska needs to lose to Purdue. That actually might be the toughest result here.
Yeah.
Other than Northwestern has to. Oh wait, Iowa has a bye this week. My bad. Northwestern needs to beat Maryland. That ain't happening. Purdue has to beat Nebraska, and Wisconsin needs to lose to Ohio State. So those are your rooting interest, guys. You know who you're cheering for this week, the Big Ten West, because we got to keep this 7-way tie opportunity going. So if you're like, man, that Big Ten West is so terrible, like there's no point in even watching those games. They're awful. First off, there's no such thing as bad football. And two, now you don't have to say that. You have a rooting interest. We all want the 7-way tie so that nobody has any clue who gets to go to Indianapolis for the Big Ten title game.
Yep. Because
4 and 5, everybody.
Think about
4
it.
and
Michigan's
5.
sending scouts to all the teams they might play. You're making
Got send them to all of them.
You're making Connor Stallions distribute tickets to 7 different programs. Ooh,
That's so much extra money.
yep. Thankfully, out of the goodness of his heart, he's willing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So kind of him.
yeah. Well,
See, I say at this point, just go and enjoy a game. The flights have already been booked.
yeah,
Like,
true.
Just go have fun.
Just go hang out. Oh man. Well, we mentioned it. We'll talk about it next week. Whatever developments happen, we'll also be on Twitter, both the Fifth and Goal account, also all 3 of our Twitter accounts. Make sure you follow those too. We're all over it. I'll give you a hint. If you're looking for very Ohio State bias, follow our individual accounts. If you're looking for semi-professionalism and a reasonable take on this situation, follow the Fifth and Goal Sports account.
Yeah, do not look to my personal account for professionalism about this topic. That will not be occurring.
Yeah, Johnny's Twitter takes are not represented. What's the phrase? Not representative of the Fifth and Goal brand. We do not condone his actions. Oh man, it's fun though. It's wild. Gosh, let us know what you think. I'm curious. This is a really unprecedented kind of thing going on here. What's not unprecedented is the fact that this episode is very long. So as always, we thank you for listening. Enjoyed being back with both of you all at the same time. That was good. We should try this again sometime. Hopefully next week. So we'll talk to you then. Listeners, have a good week. Enjoy the football. Enjoy baseball. Enjoy basketball. Enjoy hockey. Enjoy soccer. Whatever you're watching, I hope it's a good week. Enjoy it. We'll see you next time.